CNN's Anderson Cooper sat down for an interview with Nancy Pelosi. They touched on a variety of topics, but when it came to Donald Trump and his violent cult, in a rare moment of vulnerability, Nancy Pelosi got emotional. However, she quickly regained her composure and absolutely annihilated Donald Trump. She had me fist pumping. We're going to go over all the highlights right now. Though Nancy Pelosi is no longer Speaker of the House, she still commands respect from within the House chamber, and she's there to guide new leaders and share her experience with them. That's very valuable. But she also has her finger on the pulse of where the American people are at. Watch how she brilliantly answers this question from Anderson Cooper about how big of a role abortion will play in November.
2 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned, reproductive rights have been a motivating factor for voters in state elections and ballot initiatives since then. Do you think that will still be the case in November?
Yes, I do, as I did in the last election. In the 22 election, people said, oh, forget it. The Dobbs decision is in the rearview mirror. I said, no, it isn't. It's on the kitchen table. It's right there as an economic issue for people to make decisions about their families, if and when they want to have a family. It's an economic issue. It's a freedom issue.
Nancy Pelosi brilliantly frames abortion as an economic issue, and it really is. Americans are making tough decisions every single day about their career, their job, and their pocketbook. Adding another member to your family is a huge commitment that shouldn't be taken lightly. All Democrats want to do is empower women to be able to make that choice.
So today, as a temporal marker, 2 years since the Dobbs decision, all over the country, the Democrats are having a drumbeat of support for women. Not to say we, as the Republicans do, we're not for birth control, but we're for controlling women. A big difference. This was one of the accomplishments of his administration. What's his name? When he was there. Overturning Roe v. Wade. His other big decision was a tax bill that gave 83% of the benefits to the top 1%. The worst job creation record since Herbert Hoover. At the same time, Joe Biden's, under his leadership, the public and private sector working together, 15 million jobs created. Back to the kitchen table.
Always bringing it back to the kitchen table. Nancy Pelosi knows how Americans think and how to speak to them.
What's his name says Obamacare sucks. I hate using that language, but not that much. Obamacare sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It cures. And Joe Biden has taken us to a place where we have expanded subsidies to lower cost for more people, and in the IRA bill, taking the cost of insulin from $600 a month to $35 a month for seniors on Medicare. So the cost of living, when we talk about it, we're concerned about it, but we also understand that access to health care and prescription drugs is an important part of that, and certainly the size and timing of our families.
Nancy Pelosi highlighting some of the Democrats' accomplishments and showing people how it impacts their daily lives. Smart stuff. Now, before Anderson Cooper asked the question that got Nancy Pelosi emotional, he asked her what Joe Biden needs to do in the upcoming debate to have a good performance. And I love her response. Watch this.
With this debate, incumbent presidents have often stumbled in their first debates. Obama, I mean, the list is a long one. What do you think President Biden needs to do in this debate? Because I mean, we were just having this discussion about a number of those issues which you talked about, and you know, you cited in a way that's very positive for a lot for the president to talk about, but there's a lot of people listening who don't feel their lives are better.
Well, here's the thing, and I say this all the time. People don't vote for you because you say you deserve it for what you have done. What you have done just proves that you can get the job done. And again, you're either giving a tax cut to the top 1%, or you're creating jobs for the mass, an economy that bubbles up and grows from the middle. So I always say to people when you're running, don't talk that you deserve it because of what you've done, but it demonstrates that you are capable. And what Joe Biden will do, he will protect a woman's right to choose. He will, again, continue to expand the economy from the bottom up. He will be there to protect our planet as they are trying to undo what we did before. So we have to protect what we have done. But it's not enough. We need to show where we go from here, right down to that kitchen table. A woman's right to choose, job creation, lowering the cost of education. The list goes on and on.
Some polls.
It's not enough just to defeat Donald Trump. We've got to share with the American people what our vision is for the future. And I think we've got it. Affordable child care, affordable elder care, universal pre-K, the list goes on and on. Democrats have some amazing ideas to help improve people's lives, and we just got to get them out there.
Some polls have shown President Biden lagging his previous levels of support with key parts of the Democratic base, young people, African-American voters, Latin voters, women.
Yeah.
What do you, does that concern you? Does that keep you up at night?
Well, I saw a poll today that said among young people 18 to 30 that Biden was ahead by 23 points, that people did care about a woman's right to choose, LGBTQ and minority issues. They cared about the planet and the rest. So, again, we don't agonize, we organize to get out that vote.
Look, I understand people's concerns about the polls, and it's frustrating to see Donald Trump tied with Joe Biden at this point in the election. But as we get closer and closer to November, so many people are starting to tune in and find out about what Joe Biden's been up to and how terrible Donald Trump is. And you're starting to see the polls shift in Biden's favor. And I believe things will continue in that direction and only get worse for Donald Trump.
As you know, I came up through the ranks as a grassroots political organizer, which said we just have to own the ground in order to win elections. That mobilization requires a message that is inspiring. And I'm so proud of Joe Biden. And by the way, I have a nose for good campaigns. And I am so encouraged by what I smell and see around the country, owning the ground. So I feel pretty optimistic about it, and I feel very proud of Joe Biden, and I know he'll do a good job saying what we're doing next. You know, what we're doing next.
I love Nancy Pelosi's optimism. So many Democrats are scared to say we're going to win because they think it jinxes it or something. I don't see it like that. I love the confidence. That inspires me. So I appreciate Nancy Pelosi feeling so confident. Doesn't mean we lay off the gas and we don't fight as hard as we could, but it's nice to know that there is a positive outcome on the horizon, but we got to fight for it. We're about to get to the part in the interview where Nancy Pelosi gets emotional. But first, Anderson Cooper wanted to ask her if she has confidence in the Supreme Court. And I'll be honest, her answer is kind of shocking.
Do you have confidence in the Supreme Court? I mean, they've yet to rule on this immunity thing, all this thing about Alito and the flags and Clarence Thomas and his wife. I mean, do you have confidence in the Supreme Court?
No, I think they've gone rogue. It's most unfortunate. But it's unfortunate further to see what the other justice, what happened to the Chief Justice? Did he go weak or did he go rogue? I don't know.
Where has Chief Justice John Roberts been? I'm with Nancy Pelosi. If he wants people to respect the Supreme Court, then he's got to take back control.
And that's the same thing with these members of Congress, if I can take it back to that, because as tragic as that night was, and they were coming after me to put a bullet in my head, they were going to hang have a gallows for the Vice President of the United States. Just a matter of hours when I called people back to the floor. Overwhelmingly, the Republicans voted against the results of the Electoral College. That was almost as heartbreaking and devastating as to see what those slobs that came in with their Confederate flags and their Nazi flags and the rest of what they came in to do to the Capitol of the United States. So, no, I don't have confidence in the Supreme Court. I think that some of the decisions I respect their point of view. If they have a point of view about a woman's right to choose, okay, but that's not what they're there to do, to advocate for a point of view. Run for Congress.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like the Supreme Court has way overstepped its authority. Something's got to give.
They're there to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And many of them said in their hearings for confirmation, they said that they supported the precedents of the court. The precedents of the court supported the privacy in the Constitution. And what do? They vote their opinion on policy rather than the oath of office to uphold the Constitution of the United States. So I want us to get back to a place where the three branches of government, as our founders initiated, are respected across the board. But I don't have a lot of confidence in this court.
It's wild to hear Nancy Pelosi say she doesn't have confidence in the Supreme Court. And she's not alone. A lot of Americans feel that way right now. But the court can win back trust from the public, but they've got to act accordingly. So let's hope they do the right thing with this presidential immunity case. And finally, Anderson Cooper asked Nancy Pelosi a question about Trump's violent cult that got her emotional. But she recovered quickly and unloaded on Donald Trump in a way I haven't seen before. And I'm here for it. Watch this.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. The person whose name I shall not say was convicted of the attack on your husband. How is Mr. Pelosi doing?
He's okay. I mean, he's making progress. He's about 80% there physically. Traumatically, it's terrible. But as we pray about it, we're always worried about other people and how the incitement of these people for what the things that they say, the lies that they tell, to incite somebody to come into my home and that. And I just worry about other elected officials, whatever their point of view is, whatever side of the aisle they're on, that they not be subjected to that, because that undermines our democracy in such a very serious way. But what was awful about it, Anderson, was that they made jokes about it. The President of the United States said ridiculous things. The former, what's his name, made ridiculous statements. His son said stupid things. Some of his supporters, and you know who they are, said awful things. And that was very hurtful to us, to our children, to our grandchildren, but more importantly, to our country. Who do they think they are? Well, you know what they are? They're going to be losers in just a few months. Once again, indicted, impeached, convicted, loser again.
Okay. That's the energy I'm talking about right there. I love it. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi, for getting people fired up. We are going to send a message to Republicans. We are going to tell this MAGA cult that America doesn't want anything to do with them. I understand people are exhausted. People are told every 4 years this is the most important election ever. But this election is huge. We can finally put an end to this MAGA nightmare and move forward. I'm so glad we have leaders like Nancy Pelosi showing us the way. Great interview by Anderson Cooper.